Hey everybody, it's wonderful back at work. I'm sure everybody, including myself, is pretty much hungover from the New Year's break, right? Okay, yeah, what a brutal week. Anyways, you know what? For you guys who are here to join us, we have a special guest today, Dr. Scott Jung, and he had a full day work as well, and he's joining us on episode 4 of our 20-year anniversary of Bison Institute celebration. So let's welcome Dr. Scott Jung. How you doing, man? Okay.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. Good to
Yeah.
see you.
Happy New
Okay.
Year's.
Happy New Year as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how was your Christmas break?
Oh.
Did you spend time with your family? Obviously.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell
there
us
was
about
a-
it.
It wasn't a typical Christmas for me.
Yeah.
Because I was actually in a hospital.
I heard something happened, right?
Something happened.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
like Instagram or somewhere, like
Yeah.
you had a like appendectomy or something.
Yeah. Apparently, I was the Grinch,
Oh my
and
God.
and my appendix actually it got inflamed and ruptured, so I had to go for emergency surgery.
I know some friends who had appendicitis, right?
Yeah.
Appendicitis, and it's some of the worst pain.
Yeah. So I spent my time in Christmas just recovering, really.
My gosh.
Yeah.
So do they have to line up a surgeon like right away to get that
Yeah,
removed?
yeah. So I went to ER, and there was after a couple hours I was
Yeah.
in the OR to getting the operation.
How long was the surgery? Was it under local?
No, they knocked me out. General anesthetic.
No, not lidocaine with,
No lidocaine.
Really?
No local infiltration.
Oh wow.
A general anesthetic, and then I think I heard it was about for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was from midnight to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So.
And they stitch you up.
Yeah, well, it was a laparoscopic, so not much of a stitching.
That's how they do it.
Just some tissue glue.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How you feeling now?
Good. Well, I lost about like 15 pounds.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel good. That's what I wanted.
My goodness.
So I
Okay.
think I achieved already my New Year's resolution of losing weight.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah,
One way to do
yeah.
it. Yeah. So I saw how many days were you in hospital for then?
2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Quick recovery. You feeling good?
Yeah. Well, the recovery took about
Yeah.
a week and a half to 2 weeks. Yeah.
It's
But now
really-
I'm pretty good.
Okay. So that was your Christmas.
That was my Christmas.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back. So for a lot of our members at Bison Institute, Begin members, okay, I think they know you. We introduce you as one of our new faculty member at Bison Institute, but you're one of the newest, right? Okay, Paul Lee and you.
Yes.
Tell us, some of our members know who you are, but they don't really know who you are.
Yeah.
Tell us about a little bit of your background. I know you are from, were you born in Korea?
Yes.
Right? Okay, tell us through it, your childhood and how you immigrated to
Sure.
Canada, and what your academics and how to become a dentist.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spent my elementary years in South Korea, and then my family and me and my brother, we immigrated to Canada in 1999. Yeah, and then we lived in Vancouver since.
So how old were you in 1999 then? What grade were you
I went into grade 6.
in? Grade 6.
Yeah,
okay.
so I must be 11, 12.
Ah, okay, pretty early on. Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, spent my adolescence here and went to UBC for my post-secondary, and then went to UBC Dentistry, graduated in 2014.
What did you study undergrad then?
I studied biochem.
Biochemistry.
Yeah.
Oh, pre-med, right?
I don't know if it was a pre-med, but I thought I liked biochem
Yeah.
because I was I liked the lab work and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I did a little bit of co-op experience where I was able to work in a academic lab setting,
Yeah.
and I figured I actually hated it.
But what made you choose the dentistry though, out of all the healthcare profession?
Yeah, that's a great question. First thing is I love just working with my hands,
Yeah.
creating stuff and
Yeah.
making things happen. So, if anything, I wanted to do something to do with my hands, and dentistry was something that I picked over medical because I think you had a little bit more life-work balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting field where you get to
Very interesting.
kind
field,
of help out in a lot of different ways. You're not like stuck in one field of medicine.
You know, it's true though. Like out of all the healthcare, if you think about it, dentistry is different.
Yeah.
It's different because, like you said, it's one of those very few healthcare profession where the result is many times immediate.
Yes.
You know, you see it visually just right away. Or patient have a toothache, you can get them out of pain with the root canal right away. So in that way, it's very what we call rewarding.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's a healthcare, but it's got a very strong business aspect to it. You know, so even if you are a good clinician, if you don't know how to manage your practice, sometimes that can be pretty tough too. Yeah, but that's very, very, yeah. You know, that's more I realize, and it evolves a lot too, right? Yeah. Tell us, you're single? Yeah.
No, I'm married. Married, have one daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's 5 years old in kindergarten.
5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's about a year younger than my daughter Alice then, right?
Yes.
We got to get them to meet together.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah. My daughter trying to hang out with her brothers, but her brothers are way older. Like I don't know if you guys know, I got 3 kids. Okay. My oldest boy is 23. My younger son is 21, and my daughter is 6 years old. Big gap, big gap. One wife. Okay. Just want to make that clear. Okay, right? So, best things happen when there's an accident happens. Okay, so that's my daughter, and she's my best friend. She's my best friend. Before we go into tonight's presentation, right? You know, this is one of the hot topics, 3D printing.
Yeah.
Right, 3D printing and like everybody is getting to 3D printing, and it's changed the way we think and do our dentistry in a multiple facets, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And you're what I consider kind of like a geek. You like
Yeah.
this stuff, right?
Yeah,
you
I
know,
do,
out of
yeah.
all the faculty, you like to get your hands on and start to experiment with the 3D printing. Tell us about a little bit of that journey, because I think a lot of people who are sitting on the fence of when do I get into 3D printing, give us your personal experience of what motivated to get into 3D printing.
Sure. I mean, yeah, like you explained, I was always like a geek type. Like I love technology. My favorite place to go was Best Buy, right? I love to play with like little electronics and stuff. I actually considered a career in IT before I actually made my way into dentistry. Yeah, so I was a little bit of programmer there too. But 3D printing was interesting for me because I did not want to take more impressions, to be honest. So that's how I got into digital, digital dentistry, where you start with the intraoral scan and all that. And then it slowly kind of naturally led way to 3D printing because, you have this data of intraoral scan data, and there's so much things that you can do with that and apply it within the 3D printing world. And by doing that, not only you have much more control over your workflow, you eliminate that headache of communication errors between you and your technicians, and also, hey, who doesn't like a lower laffy, right? If you keep it in house. Yeah.
Well, without going into too much of a detail, because the whole lecture is about how you're going to give us an overview of how you as a general dentist applying some of the 3D printing technology in your everyday practice, right?
Yeah.
But before we introduce you to the Dr. Scott Jung's presentation for tonight, I do want to congratulate Dr. Scott Jung for representing Canada, and he was one of the 20 finalists for the Global Megamind in Turkey, right? Yeah. So. And he did it wonderful. He and Dr. Raj Virk. So I do want to congratulate you. And how was that experience for you?
Oh, that was a once in a lifetime experience. Really, it was amazing to see other clinicians from all
around the world. We had 20 clinicians all around the world.
Sometimes you're stuck in your head's stuck in Canada because that's where you're at, right? And all you hear is Canadian doctors. But it was eye opening to see what other people in the whole world are doing in implant dentistry, and so I really enjoyed the experience. And also, Turkey is a place I'd never been, so that was very interesting.
You know what? If I were to do it again, we should stay for like whole week. What a beautiful place. They say Antalya, Turkey is one of the most beautiful places in Turkey, and that's where a lot of people go for holiday. And guess what? We went there and we didn't get to enjoy as much. So we kind of snuck out one of the afternoon,
Yeah,
and then we did some
couple
sightseeing.
hours, yeah.
It was gorgeous and highly recommended. And those who are wondering about the Megamind 2024 this year is going to be held in France. I think the Cannes, France. Yeah.
Like the
Cannes,
film.
yeah. The Cannes
Right.
Festival, right? So,
Wow.
so that's where it's going to be. Yeah. So you know what? Unlock your potential, test your mind. You're the mega mind. Okay. So there will be more promo and things like that coming your way. So stay tuned. Okay. So no further ado. Okay. Today's main topic. Okay. Application of 3D printing in everyday practice. Okay. Welcome. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Dr. Scott Jung. I'm a full-time practicing dentist. And my practice is called Cloverdale Dental Center, located in Surrey, BC of Canada. Just like you, I drill and every day, but sometimes I place implants. Dental surgery is my passion, and that led me to here, where I recently joined as a junior faculty of Bites Institute. Now, Bites has a special place in my heart. It was where my implant journey really took place. I've taken a comprehensive implant residency back in 2019 and 20, and soon after that, I was able to go through the advanced implant residency in 2021. Also, I participated in the 3 seasons of Life Surgery Study Club. My surgical skills grew immensely through these trainings. And not only that, but I made some valuable friends and mentors whom I highly respect and trust. I sincerely hope that all of you are able to experience the same as me. And I am glad you can join me today in the celebration of 20th year of anniversary of Bites Institute. Initially, we envisioned a group of doctors gathering to share our knowledge, gain valuable friendships, and enjoy yummy food. A simple vision. But now we see so many of you joining us globally through this online platform, and it just continues to blow our minds. On behalf of Bites Institute, thank you for all your support. And today, I get to talk to you about one of my hobbies, digital technology. I am a tech geek, and one of my favorite places to visit is Best Buy. And I love it so much, I actually considered a career in computer science once. Now, when I have a chance to combine my interests of computer science and digital technology into my other hobby, aka dentistry, you can imagine how much it can excite me. And that's why I'm excited to introduce you to the topic of today, 3D printing. And I'm sure you have heard the hype. 3D printing is an exploding field of dentistry. It is, once again, changing how I practice, and it can certainly change yours as well. Now, how many of you use iPhones? Well, how many of you are actually watching this from your iPhones? Now, ever since iPhone was first introduced in 2007, its popularity grew exponentially. Since 2020, it was estimated 1 billion people uses iPhones worldwide, and it was predicted that 65% of smartphone sales in US is just iPhones. The dominance of iPhone is not unsubstantiated. iPhones have completely changed how we live. In a single device, we have the functionality of a phone, media player, camera, and many, many more. The power packed in this aluminum brick is unbelievable and have made themselves a centerpiece of our lives. And just like iPhones, dental three-dimensional printing is making their impact. Already worth $2.1 billion industry in 2021, it is forecasted that to reach $8.84 billion in 2028. The growth of this scale must mean something. Otherwise, why would there be such a hype? In some way, I see the introduction of 3D printing into dental world same as first reveal of iPhones. And that's because this will have a huge impact with our daily practice due to its high versatile method of manufacturing. I can print anything from study models to dentures to permanent crowns, and all that lab work compacted into a single printer. So, how does this thing work? Well, it works as an additive manufacturing to create three-dimensional objects, layer by layer. It's like doing a resin filling, except instead of you, the computer will coordinate out how to add each layer. Now, there are different techniques within 3D printing, but mainly can be categorized into three groups: PBM, light curing, and FDM. Now, we don't need to understand all these methods, but what is important to us is light curing. And for dental application, light curing method is most popular. So let's talk about that briefly. And light curing technique is a general term to explain a technique utilizing photosensitive resin material cured under light irradiation as the build plates move up and down within the resin pool. Now, as the build plate moves a certain distance, a single layer of resin gets cured and sticks to the build plate. It sounds familiar, right? That's because it's very similar to how we do our composite fillings. And this additive technology allows even complex objects to be printed and replicated with ease. And not only that, depending on which resin you choose to use, it has the ability to print many different materials. Have a look at this. This is from SprintRay, one of the leading company in dental 3D printing. And as you can see, many applications have been developed using different types of resin. It is truly astonishing to see a single printer is capable of manufacturing all these diverse products. So now, I hope you understand 3D printer is our iPhone of our little dental world. So let's go over how 3D printer can be incorporated into our practice. Why don't we take an example of a surgical guide? In a general practice, your workflow may look like this. You take the record of patient, including the alginate impression and CBCT data, which is then sent to a dental lab, where they would now communicate with you back and forth for the right surgical plan. And once it's finally approved, the surgical guide is finally fabricated by the lab, delivered, and now you're able to place the implant after 2 to 3 weeks, right? Well, since many of you have already incorporated intraoral scanners as a part of your workflow, we can eliminate the physical impression part. And if you so wish, you now have the ability to design your own guide, eliminating the communicative obstacles and creating a perfect surgical plan. Then you can take this design and print it in your own office using your own 3D printer. And this can be done all within a same day if you get efficient. So, no more wasting time waiting for the lab to return your product. No more getting heavy lab bills, and no more losing control. So, let's go through some real life example. Let's look at case number 1. Now, this patient has a broken lateral in which he wishes to replace with an implant. So, as part of the workflow I showed, we take the intraoral scan, CBCT, and then go ahead in designing the surgical guide by ourselves. Now, this particular software is called the Blue Sky Plan, which is very simple to use. All you need to do is follow the steps designed by the program. And once your design is completed, you print the guide in-house using your own 3D printer. And then you're now ready to place the implant precisely as designed. Pretty simple, right? Well, we can place the implant using the surgical guide designed and printed ourselves. But let's take it a step further. For anterior implant, you're well aware that the patient wants a tooth as soon as possible. So let's print a provisional tooth. Case number 2. Now, this patient has a broken post and core off of a central incisor. Sounds familiar, right? So we do the thing. I remove the tooth, immediately place the implant, and it was time to make the provisional chair side. Now, I could have done this traditionally with the putty off of the model, but I decided to print a shell that I can use for pickup. Now, using a free software like Meta Design, it takes only 5 minutes to design the shell. It's very simple to do. And then I go and print it just about the day before the surgery. And this temporary 3D printed shell is then simply picked up with some flowable composite to a temporary abutment. And there you go, an easy temporary tooth. Now, sometimes we can't give the patient a fixed provisional for different reasons. So let's look at this number 3 case. This patient had a broken incisor and wanted an implant replacement and needed that tooth fast. So we do the usual, we'd extract it and immediately place an implant. Now, I could have done the same thing as the last case where I made a fixed temporary, but I did not want to in this case. Let's look at this and look at her bite. Maybe doing that will make it much more sense. Now, due to that overly erupted lower incisor, I deemed that fixed temporary was a little bit too risky. But patient wanted the tooth right away, so I had to devise a different solution. And so I have chosen to make a Maryland bridge as a temporary solution for her. So similar to before, I used the method design to quickly design the Maryland bridge, which is then printed and bonded onto the contralateral incisor. And you can see the implant healing abutment peeking through the palatal portion there. Now, this is my setup. I have 2 printers bought on Amazon, 2 washing machines, and 1 curing machine. Now, this setup cost me less than about $3,000, and it allows me to do not only my implant surgery with much more control and efficiency, but I can print night guard, long-term temporary crowns and bridges, wax-on model, veneer try-in. And sometimes we can print Christmas ornaments as well. Now, 3D printing is changing our world. The ripples are only getting larger and larger as applications diversifies. And just like iPhones, I foresee more and more dentists will buy 3D printers in the next couple years. And it makes sense, given the incredible potential of 3D printer to help not just us, dentists, but our patients as well. Think different. You know the famous line from Apple. Start thinking differently. Start thinking about the new way of dental manufacturing. Start thinking a better way to help our patients. And I hope you can join us in the future of dentistry. Thank you.
All right. Short and sweet, just like him. My sweet man. So if you guys have any question, please feel free to upload your question. And on those who have not been fortunate to join us live, because you have a time differentials and things like that, okay, so I hope you get a chance to enjoy this wonderful presentation as well. Just a few questions, right? Even though, like Scott, I have my own lab and we have like 2 Asiga printer and 2 the Spring Ray printer.
Yes.
We used all these different materials. I didn't really know, so I learned actually quite a bit from your presentation. Like for us, like because we have an implant center, majority of the time we use 3D printing for printing 3D guides, right. And maybe making some temporary, but we also have a milling machine as well, right? And for the bigger work, we do CAD/CAM milling. And for the simple single and things like that, we use a printing, but we use mostly for surgical guide and surgical 3D stent and things like that. Right. What do you usually use for mostly for your daily practices?
To be honest, the most number one thing that we print in our clinic is actually night guard.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's I guess that's the best ROI there, because I don't know what you guys charge, but it cost me, I did the calculation, I mean, including the labor fee that I delegate to my assistant, probably cost me around $30 to make one night guard. Yeah.
Man, there you go. Like,
Yeah.
what printer do you use? You know, like there's so many printers out there. What's your
Yeah.
recommendation? Like if they are trying to get into a printing game,
I mean,
like do they go and buy like $20,000 machine right away? That's a pretty expensive for printing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer that you want to try to minimize your investment when you first get started
Yeah.
because you don't know if this is right thing for you.
That's right.
And you don't want to dump in about 20K investment and find out this is not for you, right?
Or 80K. That's my first printer.
Yeah.
The Stratasys. I paid $80,000 plus. Takes
Yeah.
almost hit $100,000, and all I was printing was small little Eiffel Tower ornaments. Okay, total waste of. I sold it right away after by 6 months later. But you know, again, even the price come down, it's still pretty expensive.
Yeah. So I always recommend just getting yourself started with some hobby printers, right? And the ones I recommend is the Frozen Sonic Mini. Okay, they're phasing out the 4K, so you can only buy the 8KS, right? So those are great.
What's a 4K, 8K? What's the difference?
That's the resolution of their LCD screen. Yeah, I mean I can get more into that, but I'll save some for my workshop in the summer.
So the obvious, like the higher the resolution, maybe is more accurate. Is that the correlation, kinda?
Yeah, I mean the more resolution means more detail can be printed. Right?
Got it. Got
Yeah,
it.
but the Frozen Sonic is I guess it's a great budget friendly printer that you can get into, and it's only
How much are we talking about here?
you know, you just buy it from Amazon. So whatever is on Amazon, it's about $500 last time I checked.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's Canadian or US dollar?
Canadian.
Canadian dollar.
US
500.
dollar is even cheaper.
Like $700.
Yeah, around $300. Yeah,
My
you're able to go
goodness.
to the States and pick it up. Yeah.
You can literally buy a couple of those and have one as a backup.
Yeah. So I you know, at first what I did was I just started to print models. You know, because models is really easy because you don't need to have a special curing device validated for, you know, intraoral use. So I just used models and printed mock-ups, right? I'll wax it up digitally, print the models, and use do a suck down to make an S6 retainers or like a surgical stent for your implants. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing at this first, and then I moved into night guards and other applications.
Using the same printer.
Yeah, you can use the same printer, but you have to kind of switch out the resin.
That's
every
right, the
time
solution, right?
Yeah, the resin solution. So once in a while, you get annoying cleaning that up and then switching those. So you just kind of buy another printer for the next resin, and
Or can you buy a like separate tray only?
You
and,
can,
and keep the liquid there.
Yeah, you
away
can.
from the away from the direct light, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can buy a little the extra beds.
That's
for
right.
Each of the printers.
Yeah.
But it's funny because these things are made in Taiwan, I think. They're hard to get by. The extra parts are hard to get by, so it's easier to just buy
the
a
machine.
printer.
Yeah, buy several machine.
Yeah.
And maybe have a one for dedicated thermoplastic printing of the night guard.
That's right.
Right. And by the way, like we've been printing night guards too, and they're damn good fit.
Yeah.
Wow, like they're way better than the traditional way of making night guards. And you can control the thickness of the thermoplastic night guard. So my favorite is, you know, like I wear night guard too because sometimes I grind my teeth. And the traditional thickness of night guard, a lot of my patients tell me the same thing, it's too thick, too bulky. So what I tell my lab to do is make a 1.5 millimeter thickness of a night guard, right? And it's thick enough that it functions, but it is thin enough that it's comfortable. So you can actually change the parameters to get the right thickness and the right design.
That's right.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. That's the best return on the investment for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Where do you buy the materials though? Like, is it frozen? Is it like is it the proprietary or is it an open platform? Because there's some like a machine like one I have is a sprint ray, right? You can only really use, they recommend to use only their stuff.
That's right.
Right? The parameters set that way. How about this a cheap printer?
Yeah, the Frozen is more of an open source. So as long as you calibrate your resin to print in that printer, you are able to print anything you like.
Okay.
The resins, though, are obviously sold by different manufacturers. So, so you'll have to grab those resins from the manufacturers that you like.
Okay.
And then you'll have to self-calibrate it into the printers. But thankfully, there's a lot of resources out there online that there's people who already calibrate it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll shout out to Rick Ferguson, a friend of ours, right? Like, as you know, he has like, I don't know, 50,000 members in his Facebook group. And what Rick does, Dr. Rick Ferguson does is, I think he also introduced a frozen to dentist as well,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah, so he calculated all the parameters and everything, and like he made the 3D printing application in general dentistry so affordable. So that's something that you might also want to kind of search out. Yeah, he's a Dr. Rick Ferguson, and you'll find your way into there.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I gotta thank Dr. Ferguson. That's one of the ways I learned how to do this. Just by
Oh,
following him and his
yeah.
posts in his Facebook group. Yeah, so he's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, he told me his goal is to democratize 3D printing too.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of manufacturers might not like him, right? Because he's teaching you guys all the secret to do all these fancy stuff using a much budget-friendly printer, right? So that's great. That's great. Now the thing is though, for dentists, like our time is valuable,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, like do you recommend that they do this by themselves, or do they like delegate to them, or do you outsource the design and then you just do the printing? Like, you know, what is a kind of a good workflow for the beginner dentist getting into 3D printing?
At first, I recommend that you learn the whole workflow, because it's just like, you know, you're learning the lab process at school, right?
Yeah.
You want to know each details and what steps is involved so that you can troubleshoot it if something goes wrong. But eventually, yeah, your time is valuable. You know, you should be, you know, in the chair producing, right? So you want to be able to get a staff member to delegate all this printing, and also, if you can, designing as well, right? So for myself, I have my assistant who scans, designs, and print and delivers night guard.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I don't take any part except maybe checking the bite at the end. That's all.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you learn the fundamental workflow and how the mechanism is working, right? And then you can train your staff, okay, and to delegate some part of that.
That's
right. Yeah. You also have, I think, when is it? You'll be giving a evening workshop, hands-on workshop.
That's right.
For introductory course. Tell us a little bit about that. You know, what kind of things can we expect that we can learn? Obviously, it's for more introductory level for the beginners, right? Okay, so what do you have in mind?
Well, the course will be in the summer of this year, and it will be ran by me and Dr. Paul Lee. We will be just giving you an introduction of how to do the 3D printing and how to incorporate that into your practice. We'll be giving out, you know, which printers to buy, which curing machines to buy, and what kind of parameters to use, and also not just printing, but how to post process it, because that's another important step. It's not just, we're not done just printing it. You have to wash it and cure it and then polish and all that, right?
Ah, so it's not like a printed and then right out there put in the patient's mouth.
No,
It
you
doesn't
can't
work
do
that
that.
way.
No, unfortunately. There's a couple more steps involved. And also, I think the most important step is actually the designing part.
Designing,
Yeah. You can print anything, but if you can't design,
Yeah.
then you're kind of stuck there, right?
Yeah,
So, and you might be just outsourcing your design, but
Yeah.
then I think that eliminates the what you can do to control your workflow. So
Yeah.
designing is another important part that you.
And you'll cover what kind of software to
Yeah.
get into and things like
Yeah.
that. And you know, some of the softwares are so expensive, but you want to give us some option. You know, what is a good software to start with and all that too.
Yeah, and
right?
I'll give you all the tips about how to use the free software and all
Fantastic.
that.
It's one of the most requested topic this year. Is about getting into a 3D printing and CAD/CAM dentistry. So you know, I'm super excited about that as well. Okay, yeah. I don't know if anybody else has many more questions or not. Okay, yeah. So what is your, before we let you go and we say bye to the doctors? Okay, yeah. You know, what is something that, you know, you would advise or recommend so doctors, you know, okay, because a lot of doctors say, oh, I don't know much about computer. This is too difficult. It's too much technology for me. I don't have time. Okay, what is the words of encouragement that you can give it to them?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be tech savvy yourself. you can always have someone else to do
Yeah.
that part, right? But you know, it's a great way to incorporate into your practice because there's so much control that you can take over, right? Again, I mentioned in my quick lecture, I mean, how many times are you like stressed about talking to a technician and the communication
Yeah.
errors and all that? And you send them one thing and you're waiting for 5 days and it comes back, it's all wrong, and you send it again. So you can completely eliminate all that headache and also lower that lab fee by just putting
Tremendously,
you know,
yeah.
putting it into your own office. And it's like having a mini lab in your office without you know, full-fledging to it. So I highly recommend, and you know, getting into 3D printing. It will grow bigger and it will become more of a core technology that we will be using in dental field in the future, I believe.
And like for me, when I started my in-house lab and got our first printer and a milling machine and all that, now we have 7 technicians, right? It's one of those situations where, Skylar, I didn't know what I was really getting into, but I knew that there was a need for it. And to me, it was all about, like you said, quality control. But one thing pleasant surprise is that it's way more of a return on investment that I ever imagined, you know. Just learning how to use a software, and there are a lot of free stuff like an R2 Pros and, you know, R2 Gate and those things, but no, you know, from a patient education perspective, like just the design that you do pre-op design, right? Okay, after you get, you know, do the record gathering, and being able to talk to the patient before and after, that's tremendous. Sometimes we print the model, show a before and after, so that we have something tangible that we can give to the patient. Look, this is how you're going to look like. Combine that with our traditional photos and things like that, it can be a very powerful patient education, you know, experience. And I always tell the doctors, you know, so one of the common question that I get from Ask Me Anything, you know, type of post is that, Dr. Kwan, how do you convince the patient to spend that kind of money in implant dentistry? You know, like, because, you know, people are, you know, the money doesn't grow out of trees. And I always say, if you want to create value, because unless you create value, patients going to think everything's expensive. And one of the things that's very important to create value is to show them what it could possibly be. Meaning that you do the record gathering, do your intraoral scan, and do the digital wax up and bring them back with their family and show them this is you now, this is your later, okay? And that sets up the kind of like a long-term vision. And all of a sudden, the case acceptance rate goes super high, right? Super, super high. Like in my practice, whenever we put patient through a record gathering and presentation appointment with the digital wax up and things like that, it's almost like 90% case acceptance, right? Yeah. One thing that we don't want to do is sell implant during the hygiene visit. Okay, when the patient's lying down there and you're duking down there, okay, no, that's not going to work. Okay, so we have to put them through a patient education, and there's nothing better than digital. Absolutely nothing better than digital. Now, how far do you think that right now the digital 3D printing? What's the limiting in evolution? Where do you think that the 3D printing, which area needs to evolve? Is it the material or is it the accuracy?
Yeah.
You know, where do you find it?
I think the accuracy is actually there. It's
Yeah.
the fact that the biomaterials really, the resin, it's getting better every month and every year.
Oh, wow.
But it still isn't quite to a point where we would be replacing it with zirconia crowns, right? So it still has ways to go to replace those ceramic that we can mill out, but it's getting there, and I'm excited for the future that it will get there very, very soon.
So it becomes like everybody has affordable CEREC machine then, right? You know, so,
Basically,
yeah, and which will probably be a better fitting too. So can you just imagine that a company comes out with a Health Canada approved final crown or final bridge material or inlay material, and you'll be able to do this at the comfort of your own clinic at a very affordable overhead. Okay, it's coming. Technology is here, and 3D printing is here to stay, right? Yeah, it's exciting. I highly recommend you guys contact Angela and reserve your spot for the hands-on evening study club with Dr. Scott Jung and Dr. Paul Lee. I think it's going to be an exciting evening. Okay. Well, Dr. Scott Jung, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
very
me
much.
here.
Absolutely. Megamind 2024?
Ah,
We'll see.
I don't
We'll
know.
see. We'll see.
France is,
Okay.
very intriguing.
There you go. Okay. Anyways, thank you so much. Okay. Take care.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Oh, next episode, David. Okay. No, verification code today for the complimentary AGD credit is a bytes 20SJ3DP. What? Okay.
Bytes 20 years.
Bytes 20-year anniversary. Scott Jung, SJ, 3D printing. Okay, so take a screen capture with your phone. Okay, and then use that code to earn yourself a well-deserved AGD credit. Okay, and the next one is going to be 20-year anniversary is episode 5 with Dr. Pauly, and he's going to give you a presentation on predictable full mouth reconstruction FP1 prosthetics. As you know, Dr. Paul Lee has been working with Chrysalis Vancouver, our clinic, very closely with our surgical and our lab team, and he has been a very integral part of coming up with a protocol for a predictable FP1 full arch prosthetics. Okay, abutment design and crown and what to look out for. So those guys, want to learn more about more bigger cases and how to reduce your stress. Well, he's here to share some of his secrets, so stay tuned for that. Okay.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for everybody for joining the evening to celebrate our 20-year anniversary of Vice Institute. Seems like yesterday, but 20 years has gone by so fast. And what I started by myself, now we have a lot of faculty members, and it's always good to have a young blood like Scott and Paul and Jasmine and joining us and take our institute to the next level. Once again, thank you, Dr. Scott Jung, for sharing time with us, and thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.